Hello, everyone, and welcome to our webinar, The Future of Audit, Technology Stack for Increased Productivity. First and foremost, we hope that you and your loved ones are happy, healthy, and staying safe. For today's webinar, Wolters Kluwer, Jamie Bellinger, and Withum's partner, Jim Bork, will discuss key technology considerations for firms managing distributed teams. Before I hand it over to our presenters, I have a few housekeeping items to cover. Wolters Kluwer CCH is registered with NASPA as a sponsor of continuing professional education with the National Registry of CPE sponsors. As such, we are excited to offer 1 CPE credit for today's webinar. A total of 4 polls will be conducted throughout the presentation, and you will need to participate in 3 of them in order to receive CPE credit. If you experience any technical difficulties when trying to submit your poll response, please make sure you let us know in the questions pane. This way we can record your answer manually. Your certificate will be sent to the email used to register for the webinar within 5 business days after the session. If you do not receive your certificate, please email marketing@xamsolutions.com. Please note, CPE is not available when viewing the on-demand version of this webinar. You will have the opportunity to submit questions by typing them into the questions pane of the control panel. We'll be answering questions at the end of the session. If we don't get to your question during today's webinar, we'll be sure to follow up afterwards. You will also have the opportunity to complete a survey about the webinar, our content, learning objectives, and more at the end of the presentation. This survey will also be sent to you in a follow-up email. We appreciate you taking the time to participate in that survey so we can continue to deliver meaningful content in future presentations. Without further ado, I'd like to welcome Jamie Bellinger and Jim Bork.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Jamie. We're going to start with the agenda today. What we're going to do today is, have quick introductions, and then we'll dive into the current workforce and workflow challenges, dive into the interdepartmental landscape and challenges each group is facing right now. We'll discuss the new landscape, work from home, strengths gains, and the technologies that are needed. We'll talk about key technology considerations and provide you with some recommendations to improve your communication, your collaboration, and your workflow. We'll also provide you recommendations on the tech stack for your distributed workforce. We will round it off with how to create a remote work roadmap. And then we'll follow it up with any Q&A that you may have. Well, again, my name is Jamie Bellinger, and I have been with XAM Solutions since 2007, so it's been 14 years now. I have been part of a number of different departments within XAM. I've worked directly with product and development, dabbled a little bit with my marketing skills, and also my client services skills. My main focus on now is implementing and integrating firms with the current software that we have and running the team of consultants that implement the XAM software. We have seen it all. We have implemented it all. We have a deep understanding of how your office works and where you're having pain points. Every office is a little different, but we've seen the differences between the offices and can provide you with a solution on how to increase your profitability by using a workflow model. So a little more about XAM Solutions. We are now part of Wolters Kluwer. So let me talk you through exactly what we do at XAM and what our solutions bring. In September of 2020, XAM Solutions was acquired by Wolters Kluwer, a leader in our space and a name I'm sure many of you are familiar with. We have a long-standing relationship with Wolters Kluwer, and we see the acquisition as the next step in our evolution. XAM Workflow provides a firm-wide workflow solution. The application can be customized to suit your service lines, even your internal processing workflows. In addition to the workflow, XAM is built in resource allocation. We've built in a calendar-based scheduling module. to allow your firm the visibility into who's busy and who you can delegate your work to directly in one application. So you have your workflow all tracked and maintained in one application, as well as your resource opportunities. In addition, we also have full outsourcing, where we have team members that will assist you with your client accounting services and your tax outsourcing. Whether it's domestic or international that you're looking for, we have the ability to provide you with preparation support over here within the XCM application. API is available to connect to any additional products that you may be utilizing. The analytics as a service package that we currently have provides real-time reporting via dashboards through Power BI. So this is just touching on the surface of what the XCM application can provide. We can expand and we can grow with your firm internally, and all of this is customizable to suit your needs and to fit what your firm has currently in process within your office. I'll now turn this over to my co-presenter, Jim.
All right, Jamie, thank you. Thank you for leading up to this, and thank you guys for inviting me and allowing me to present with you all today. So think about this whole thing before I introduce myself. So the future of audit, you know, that the whole title for today's session, the future of audit is now, right? You guys have been living this for the last 18 months to a year. We have been experiencing, you've been experiencing the future of audit. You've been using, you know, the best of breed technology stack that's out there. So this is perfect timing today, because we all know, you know, with the variants, everything else that's happening out there, this is not going away. So this work from home, this remote concept is going to be around for a long, long time. And so today you're going to learn all about the technology stack at Wolters Kluwer. You're going to understand a little bit more about the future of audit and what's happening and how all these different products play into each other. And I'll be helping you out from a perspective of how a CPA firm, in my role, I did audit, I did tax, today I do advisory, how that all plays in through the use of the technology stack. So anyway, I am Jim Burke. I'm Managing Director for Advisory Services here at Witham. I'm a CPA, been here at Witham for over 35 years, and did plenty of audits, reviews, compilations, agreed upon procedures, lots of tax returns over the 35 years. And today I'm sitting in our fastest growing vertical, which is advisory services, which is everything other than audit and tax that is driving the profession today. I also head up global technology and advisory for HLB International. That's our International Association of Firms, headquartered in London. And the next bullet, it's a moving target. It says, you know, firms, 20 offices and over 1,500 employees. We announced another merger into the firm about 2 weeks ago. So we continue to grow. Today, we're over 2,000 employees on 24 offices. It's just been a wild ride. Again, it's what's happening throughout our entire profession today. I spend a lot of time with the county today and speaking around the globe. I'm named year after year top 100 most influential people in a profession. Spend a lot of time with CPA practice advisors as well, top 25 thought leaders. And I mentioned I do what you all do, right? So I'm not a consultant out there. I am one of you. I'm a CPA, and I do audit. So I feel your passion. I'm past president of the New Jersey Society of CPAs, spent 3 years on AICPA board, about 12 years on AICPA council. So, you know, that's how I'm able to relate best practices in the profession to what you all are doing. Again, I feel your pain. I've been through it all. I've been through all the technologies. I know the challenges that you all struggle with every day. This is just a little snapshot about my firm, about Witham. All I'll tell you, without looking at, you know, all the specifics, is that, you know, we just try to be forward thinking, and we lead with technology. At Witham, we view technology as a strategic asset, not as an expense line item. And you really need to view it that way in order to equip all of your staff, quite frankly, with the best of breed, most powerful tools in order to allow them to service your clients in the most profitable way possible. So again, not that we were not challenged by the pandemic. We were forward thinking. We've been in the cloud for the longest time. But again, we'll talk about some of those bumps in the roads. We'll talk about what we learned over the last 18 months and what we're going to be doing differently as we move to the future. So as with any other good webinar, we have a bunch of polling questions spread throughout the entire presentation today. So I'm going to turn it back over to Alyssa for our first polling question.
Great, thank you, Jim. Our first polling question is, what was your firm's biggest challenge over the last year? Remote or hybrid work technologies, staff scheduling needs, shifting tax deadlines, new legislation, or other? We'll give about 30 more seconds to complete the first polling question. As a reminder, you'll need to complete 3 out of 4 in order to receive your CPE. Just a few more, about 15 more seconds. And we're gonna close this poll and share the results. And I'm going to turn it over to you, Jamie, for your thoughts.
Yes. Okay. So looking at this, remote and hybrid work technologies, I was expecting that to be the highest. To be honest, the firms that I've spoken to over the past, 18 months have had the same issues that you're having right now. And what they're thinking of is, when it comes to the A&A side, is our area of highest workflow risk is, when it comes to A&A, it's not scheduling or planning or interim or field work or wrap up. It's more report drafting, report editing, finalization, binder close. And they're thinking about the percentages of budgets that are blown after the engagement field work has been completed. And it was difficult when they were in the office to control that. And now that they're outside the office working without workflow technology, they're having the hardest time specifically with those areas of the highest workflow risk. Jim, what have you been seeing?
Oh, absolutely the same thing, Jamie. So let's think about this. Remote or hybrid work technologies, I agree 100%. And let's think about it. I mean, when the pandemic first hit, I think last March, right in the middle of our big height of audit season, review season, compilation season, it was a challenge, right? People were thrown into an environment of technology that wasn't the same as the technology that they had in the office every single day, right? Everyone's desk in the office, everyone pretty much dual monitors, docking stations, wireless keyboards, wireless mice, cameras, all that type of stuff. Staff got put in their homes. Many of them didn't have external monitors. Many of them didn't have all the other features that help to be efficient to drive the process. And then we found many did not have workflow solutions. And with them, we've had XCM for the longest time, utilizing XCM. We utilize XCM throughout our entire practice, from tax to audit to review to advisory. So through every single person that has a deliverable in our firm utilizes that. That's how we pass projects around. So although it was bumpy in the beginning because of some of those technology issues, learning how to use Teams, learning how to use Zoom and all the other, video type technologies that were out there, the collaborative technologies, it came down to a streamlined process. Once we got that under our belt and the staff realized this was going to continue for a period of time, I'll tell you, we knocked the ball out of the park. I hate to say this, as bad as the pandemic was, we learned a massive amount during this pandemic last year. And what we did learn is we learned that our staff can work remotely successfully. Jamie?
All right. Yeah, all right. So now we're going to move on to workflow and workforce challenges. What we have here is a diagram about the interdepartmental landscape. And reviewing this and still keeping, thinking about the management of 5 generations in the workforce right now, you are really faced with challenges. We look at firms a little differently and not just one-dimensional. We look at the 4 we look at the 4 levels that really work together to drive the productivity for your firms. And most firms have a hierarchy that looks like this. So first, there are the individual contributors. They need to get the work done, the basic blocking and tackling that needs to take place in a firm relies on the individual contributor or the staff person. They have work to do. They need clarity to do it. And they need to know the business process that allows them to get this work done. So then we're looking at mid-level managers. This is a tough job. They inspire. They report up to the partners. They're the go-to person when things aren't going right. They're also the go-to person when things may be going wrong. They need to report up and they need to respond down. So they're truly the traffic cop at the firm. Then you have your partner level. They're responsible for driving revenue, finding new clients, managing, shareholder relations. They're driving the strategy for your business. So even their role is important. They're very reliant on the mid-level managers so that they can, so you can move up and down in the hierarchy with work that's important to each and every individual. So, the partners at the high level, but the manager is actually running the inside business. And then we have our operations and our administrative groups. They are, scheduling resources, picking the technology, making sure that they're building your business processes, thinking about, the stats that are out there for the generations of the workplace. Okay, I'm going to pull this. This is a direct quote from Ready or Not Future. The future of work is here. The Gen Z, 51% say that they are most distracted when they work from home. 43% don't have the necessary equipment to do their jobs. 71% are concerned about the cultural impacts in the workplace. Then the millennials, 67% are concerned about the cultural impacts. And then the Gen Xers are concerned about the financial impacts. So we kind of see a trend there where, the millennials in the middle are concerned mainly with the cultural impacts, and so is Gen Z. But we're also thinking about, the financial impact. So everybody in your office is worried about your business. They're concerned about the business and the path that it's going forward on because of the workforce challenges that we've had, having to quickly move to a remote platform. The last 12 months, I want to give you a little snapshot about the last 12 months. Employees, the employees were engaging in remote work, and they were thinking that 60 to 80% of their time working remotely was optimal. Optimal engagement occurs when they spend that time working remote. So they're not distracted. They're not thinking that somebody's going to pop in the office and interrupt them. But on the flip side, there are folks that are feeling that burden. They are feeling that they can't focus at home. There are other reasons behind, why they're struggling at home. Thinking about, what the staff actually juggled with the stay-at-home order. Now they're working, they're adjusting their deadlines. If they don't have the proper technology to complete all of their, the work that's currently assigned to them, they're even more stressed out. They're working more hours to get in everything that they absolutely need to complete before the deadlines. The management. If you were not already managing staff that was remote or partially remote, this was probably the biggest hurdle to overcome. The questions about technology, the additional questions about, where they can find something, how they can do something, all of that commingled with, I don't know what my employees are doing because I can't physically see them. I can't walk into their office and ask them those questions. Those were some additional issues that the management teams struggled with. We did notice that there were some improved business processes, and the ability to focus was a little bit better on strategy because we didn't have those interruptions that you would normally have inside the office. As a result, by early 2020, 45% of workers said they were burnt out, according to a survey by the Eagle Hill Consulting Group. And that isn't surprising. To be honest, I was burnt out as well. We were working longer hours, trying to figure out how we were going to get the work done remotely versus where, we were already, struggling with our 50-hour work weeks inside an office. So it made it that much harder for us to adapt to the forced movement to a remote assignment. When we're thinking about, the productivity trends, there were bonuses, there were upsides to working from home as well. So thinking about the workplace disruptors, we had the shelter in place, the daycare is closed. I was personally impacted by that. It was very difficult for me to manage my workday with my children at home. There was the uncertainty of what the future was going to hold. Is our company going to stay strong? Are we going to be able to continue the way that we have been in the past? And there was the always on culture reaching new heights. I was always checking my phone. I was always logging into work. It might be 11, it might be 12 at night, but I'm still working, trying to catch up for those minutes that I had lost during the day, possibly because my daycare was closed. Competing priorities, there were new stresses that were placed on everyone. The tax filing deadlines changed. There was new relief legislation that you needed to learn about. The audit teams had to shift plans. There was no more on-sites for those audit teams. The distributed workforce, previously remote employees had it pretty easy because they were already used to it. But most companies don't have remote employees, or the majority of their companies wasn't a remote employee. So they needed to hop on the technology train and immediately, not let's think about it, let's analyze, let's review what we need. They needed to immediately make sure they're filling the gaps when it came to technology, because this wasn't something that was planned and we had time to think about it. Now, Jim, what did you see in your firm when it came to disruptors and priorities and, the disruptive workforce?
Biggest disruption ever. There's no doubt in my mind about it. March of 2020 was the biggest disruption I have ever seen in 35 years in the firm. Why? Because we were ready from a technology perspective, as I think a lot of firms out there in the US were. We were ready. We were drinking the juice about going to the cloud. Maybe the majority of our operations were in the cloud, and some were not. But you're never ready. And as much as we say we embraced the work from home concept, it really took a pandemic to get, I believe, not just us with them, but our entire profession to embrace this remote work concept. As evidenced in the last couple of slides, we weren't ready from a hardware perspective, a technology perspective, because we never thought 100% of our workforce would work remote. We got through the cultural issues as best we could. The social hours, at 5 or 6 o'clock at night after work, teams getting together, doing things, escape the rooms that we all played during the last year and a half to try to make up for that cultural disruption. But I think, there's no going back. There's really no going back to the way in which the profession was. When we look at the new landscape and look ahead with the new landscape, we learned a lot, right, over the last 18 months. We call it, the hashtag work from home workforce. I look at it as the remote workforce, because what did our staff do? Not only did they work from home, they went away. They went on vacation. They went to the Caribbean. They went to Hawaii. They were all over the place, right? And they still got work done. I will tell you, and you'll probably all agree with me, I'm so proud of our staff at what they have been able to accomplish in the last 18 months. So this survey here was done by Robert Half. About 1,000 workers that would normally be employed within, let's say, an office environment. Now, this survey was done last April, mid-April of 2020. So in the survey, 63% said they now realize their job is doable outside the office. Keep in mind, this was a survey conducted in April of 2020. You know, for the most part, pandemic hit in March of 2020. So everyone had about 30 days under their belt, and 63% said they now realize their job is doable outside the office. I bet you if we fast forwarded this survey to today, nearly 100% would now realize their job is doable outside the office. And by the way, not just doable, they knock the ball out of the park in our profession, right, our staff. 43% are more comfortable using technology. Absolutely. Now, that was 1 month in. I bet you it's near 100% today. Why? Think about all the challenges we had with Zoom, with Teams, with all of that. We couldn't turn our mics on. We couldn't turn our cameras on. We're over that stuff, right? So we are very comfortable using technology. 20% report stronger relationships with their colleagues. That was a month in. I know that's super low. I would almost guarantee that number is significantly higher today. So moving ahead, what is work from home? Again, I like calling it remote working, right? It's telecommuting, it's telework, teleworking, mobile work, remote work, flexible workforce. Bottom line is, it is your staff getting the job done outside of your bricks and mortar, right? Someplace else. And what are you doing? You're delivering best of breed technologies to your staff in order to make it happen, right? You heard in the earlier slides, staff were challenged because their employers did not deliver the right technologies to allow them to get the job done. And that's what we owe to our staff, the right technologies to get the job done. It involves making a space in your home or your primary space to do business. Again, another challenge for the younger staff. We have a bunch of offices in big cities. My young staff, they don't live in nice big suburban homes. They live in tiny little city apartments. Their office was their bed, right? They're putting their laptop on their bed. So it wasn't the most productive way to do business. But the bottom line, at the very bottom, ensuring your staff have the tools they need to work productively in that environment, no matter what that environment may be. So let's think about it. What are some of those tools for remote work technology? Look at the generic tools on the right. Remote access tools, right? They need good internet access, good bandwidth, document creation and editing. You need to be able to make voice calls, video calls. The whole world is standardized on Zoom, on Teams. We got rid of handsets in our offices. We don't have phones in our offices. Way before the pandemic, we migrated our entire firm to Teams. Security, VPN, multi-factor authentication, right? An absolute must. Hardwares, monitors, scanners, external cameras, microphones, all of that stuff. Those are the tools that our staff need. And quite frankly, they needed it and they need it today, and they're going to need it going forward in the future. Think about what they need, the complaints they had. They may be dealing with a bunch of different technology products that don't talk to each other from different vendors, right? They may be challenged with workflow. How are they passing work from one staff person to the next? How are you managing documents from content management? Where are you storing things? God, you need to be storing on the web today, right? Easy access anywhere, anytime. How about scheduling? That is so important in the remote work environment. You need a tool that is integrated into either your practice management or your workflow tool to allow for easy scheduling of staff, no matter where they may be. See, in the past, we would schedule staff by what office or what department they're in. But think about this. I have 2,000 staff. I have 2,000 potential locations. So your scheduling tools need to be broad and look at that overall. Your line of business tools, web-based, right? You need to be looking at your engagement management tools for your audits, reviews, compilations, your tax tools, right? And then at the end of the day, you got to be able to capture your staff time from the billing perspective and all of that to be able to still conduct business. So let's move into emerging trends in a new landscape. What are some of these emerging trends? Where are they going? We look at employee priorities, operational priorities, employee productivity, services, value adds, digital accounting, technology, automation, AI, data analytics, all the kind of things that you're hearing about. You don't need to be experts, but you just need to understand how it all plays into our profession. So let's focus on some employee priorities, right? Our employee priorities have totally changed, right? Think about this. How many of you today are experiencing a loss in staff? right? I'll tell you, June 30th was our year end. As we started to, let's say, come out of the really bad part of the pandemic, we started to lose staff. Staff priorities changed. Why? Because they saw what happened. Think about a year ago, our firms throughout the country, we didn't know what was going to happen. So many firms decided to lay staff off because they were unsure of the impact in our profession. So it was this unknown, right? Our priorities had shifted. Staff really became worried about holding on to their jobs. So they needed to shift their priorities. So at the end of the day, when staff decided to, do I stay with this employer? Do I move to another employer? Those employers that continue to embrace this remote work concept, I believe will prevail at the end of the day. And I will tell you, staff that have left our firm after this, it wasn't because of money. It really came down to which employers will allow staff to continue working the way in which they worked and serviced our clients over the last 18 months. Let's think about this. I would probably argue many of your firms thrived during the pandemic. Why? You became the trusted advisors. You had the right technologies in place. You continue to guide your clients every step of the way. So let's think about this. Organization priorities, they've changed in many different ways. There was a survey done by Sage Advice in 2020. 54% of the respondents believe that an ideal candidate for an accounting role should have financial advisory skills. The study also revealed 51% of respondents believe that skills in using technology tools will make the most impact in an accounting profession. So think about our priorities. We started to change our priorities in the type of staff that we were looking for. It required a different set of skills to work efficiently remotely than it did in the office. And we realized very quickly those staff that actually retained those skills. What else did we realize about the pandemic and the kind of services that we should be providing to all of our clients? We realized very, very quickly our clients were looking for financial accounting, budgeting, data analytics, right amongst the pandemic. They wanted to understand, get a better handle on cash collections. So what did this mean for us? We needed to become, again, the trusted advisors for our clients, right? We needed to be there for them. We needed to understand their needs, and we needed to deliver it. Think about what you all did, right? You helped your clients with secure PPP loans the first time around, the second time around, and it didn't end there. Then you moved into the trusted advisor role to help them go through the forgiveness applications, forgiveness process. Many of you may still be doing that with your clients, right? We shifted our roles into that trusted advisor level. And that's what it's all about, right? It's about becoming the trusted advisor. Now, I'll talk a little bit about technologies and the digital accounting technology and what we did as a firm. So you think about delivering cutting edge technologies. They don't have to be bleeding edge, but I say cutting edge. You need it to be 100% in the cloud. Many of you may have heard about it in the past. I know some technologies are not 100% in the cloud, but today you could virtually put any single technology in the cloud today. And that is what we need to do in order to service our clients, right? It makes our jobs easier. There was a survey that was recently done, so 67% of accounting professionals know that cloud technology has been helpful in enhancing the quality of the work. 53% of the respondents highlighted said they use cloud-based tools, particularly for project management and client communication. I would argue this: if I were starting my own firm today, I would be 100% in the cloud. Why? I need to be prepared for the next pandemic. I hope there never is a pandemic, but I will tell you, we need to be better prepared for disruption. The way to be prepared for disruption is to choose the right technologies that allow our staff to work remotely 100%. The last point there about automation, AI, data analytics, do you need to be experts in that space? Absolutely not, but you need to understand it. So those technologies are going to play a very critical role in optimizing the job of the accountant going forward, because these technologies will be embedded in a lot of our future technologies that will serve our profession. Alyssa, back to, let's go through a second polling question.
Great, thank you, Jim. I'm going to open up our second polling question, which is, where do you spend the majority of your time today? Managing technologies to meet business objectives, interacting with people to meet business objectives, business process management and compliance, reporting, or all over the board dealing with the crisis of the day. And I'm going to give everyone about 15 to 30 more seconds to complete the polling question. All right, just a few more seconds and we'll close the poll. Okay, we're going to close the poll and share the results. And Jamie, I'll turn it over to you for the results.
It makes me giggle to see all over the board dealing with the crisis of the day, because that will never go away. There will always be a crisis of the day. But I am happy to see interacting with people to meet business objectives, because that means you're spending less time on, trying to find out where all the work is or reporting data. You're not spending time doing data collection and validation and analysis. You do have the time to physically meet with your clients or possibly your individuals that are working within your office. Business process management and compliance seems very low, which is good, because it sounds like you all have, your business process outlined, and you're in compliance, obviously. Jim, what do you think? How would Witham trend with these questions?
Let me tell you, Jamie, it is all over the board dealing with the crisis every single day. It really is, because like all of you, my day doesn't end, right? My day starts early. I get up, I work, I go to the gym, I come home, I work, I have lunch, I work. I may take the dogs for a walk, I work, I have dinner, hanging out with the kids, I work. So we can't separate this, right? So it's all over the board, dealing with the crisis every day. I think it's really the separation of work from home. And I know mentally, many of us are exhausted from this entire process. So again, I go back, I said this numerous times. Where do we spend the majority of our time today? Really working, interacting with our clients, responding to client needs. It's clients have expected an almost instantaneous type response today, because that we're always plugged in 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. So, I'm hoping we go back to something that's not as plugged in, that's not as connected, because I think we all mentally need a break from this work overload that we've had for the last 18 to 24 months.
All right, so let's hop into the key technology considerations. Let's talk about the benefits of enhancing your stack. You're going to save time and money through updated technology. Automation gives you the ability to standardize and streamline and speed up any routine or rule-based process, freeing accountants of repetitive and time-consuming tasks. And it will take your firm as a whole and consolidate the processes into one. There have been many firms that have, implemented over the past 14 years, where when we're working through the actual process and we're talking and we're consulting and whiteboarding their process, there are 5 different processes, because each partner likes it a different way. And it's great to like it your own way, but think about the 4 or 5 people at the bottom that have to learn 5 different ways to do something depending on the actual partner. So if you're utilizing technology to streamline and standardize your processes, think about the time you're saving with making sure that your employees can literally just go through one process and your items are out the door, or you can streamline it so that there's only one teaching component when some new person comes in the door, and things aren't going to go missing in your standardization, either whether somebody moves to a different partner within the office, or if you have a brand new employee that comes in the door, everybody's learning the same exact way to utilize the technology. Support lasting client relationships with better tech. This is probably the main reason you should enhance your tech stack. Because if you think about, a client picks up the phone and they call you and they're asking you about, a specific project that you're working on, or they're asking for an update on something specifically, you have no idea where that is. you're going to have to, pre-COVID, run around the office and try to figure out where it is. Post-COVID, send out emails, hot messages, or you're completely avoiding the client's phone call because you've got to dig into it before you want to call them back. Using technology, it's as easy as logging in and searching for the client's data and having all of that supporting information, the supporting documents, or, your analytics page pulled up to give you, the status on where their projects or their processes reside inside your office. It's really important to be able to answer your clients on demand than to have to lag and call them back at a later date. And attract your future workplaces is also important. Think about, the people that are going to be applying to positions in your company in the future that have had access to the best technology. If they find out when they're, interviewing, going through the interview process that you don't have the best, they may not be interested in working for your workplace because they have found, tried and true, these are the best applications. We need to make sure we're digital. Oh, you're not digital when it comes to, let's say, project management. Maybe I'll consider going somewhere else, because I remember that was a nightmare before we went digital at my last firm. Now I want to make sure that the next firm I work for is a digital firm. Here are a few examples of project or work management tools you can take a look at. What it does is it gives you the ability to track progress on your projects, where it is, who has it, anticipated delivery dates, centralizing the tools so you don't have to transition between applications. Enhancing team collaboration means that, we can all be in there, we're working on the same documentation together, checking out the documents rather than, I have it now and I'm going to hand it off to the next person. There is the ability to share and collaborate inside the project or work management tools. Thinking about the cell phone or the voice over IP, I know that Jim had touched on this earlier. The age of having a desk phone in the office has long gone. The voice over IP is truly the best because voice over IP has a clearer connection and it can be routed to your cell phone if necessary. So in the office, outside the office, whether or not you're sitting at your home office, you can utilize the voice over IP. And when, let's say you're traveling, you're on the road, you're out somewhere, those voice over IPs can be forwarded to your cell phone directly. Cell phones work awesome too. I have 2 of them. They are fantastic. But the reason I have 2 of them is I have a private phone number and then I have a work phone number, and I wanted to keep those completely separate. And that's one of the points that we have here is it's hard to keep your cell phone, your private phone, your private number separate. I don't want clients calling me on Saturdays at noon when, I'm out with my children doing exciting things. I'll check my messages later when I have free time, but I don't want to, pick up that phone call and have to turn them down with a question that they may have because I'm not prepared to answer those questions. Moving on to the video conferencing tools. I had utilized these in the past. Being in the consulting department, we've done, consulting sessions, we've done remote sharing, we have done training sessions over the web. So we have been very familiar with this. But moving into, the COVID-19 pandemic, I realized how many people aren't used to these. Not having the technology for video conferencing and being able to just literally dial in and watch what somebody else is talking about or showing you or trying to explain makes it extremely difficult. And when you're having those client connections, you want to make sure that, if they are able to dial into, Zoom or Ring Central or WebEx, have them dial in so you can do that personal face-to-face. You might not be able to go see them down the street for coffee or have them meet you in the office, but at least you can have that, the connection over the computer. These were used seldom prior to the pandemic, but I think that pretty much everybody's an expert now. But what you want to do is you want to find the tool that fits your needs in your office. Microsoft Teams meetings is personally my favorite. They provide video conferencing, chat, and collaboration. So internally, with my team members, we have, the chat box always open so I can shoot a quick note to someone. It will tell me whether or not they're on a call, they're available, they're on vacation. It sheds a light around them that lets me know what they're actually doing, if they're busy or not, and they can talk. It also allows me to press a button and call them through my computer, voice over IP, literally press a button, immediately dials them. I don't have to look up their numbers. It also allows the video option there too. We do whiteboarding, so we can draw all over the place. It's pretty fun, actually. I've done it a couple of times. Desktop and app sharing. Somebody's having an issue, pick up the Teams app sharing, where I can look at their screen and say, oh, okay, well, this is what you missed, and this is how you can fix that. We set up group meetings and individual meetings. All of my weekly meetings with all of my team members are held through Microsoft Teams, and there's a scheduling component that will add it right into your calendar for you. It's very easy to learn, and it's very easy to administer across, all of your users. Prior to that, we were using a chat option that was separate from our audio, that was separate from the Ring Central application that we were using. So communication was a little difficult because you had a different application to utilize. Let's move on to security solutions. When we're thinking about security, of course, you need to have a multi-factor authentication. You want to make sure that you're keeping your data secure. We want to make sure that, when you're logging into an application that has that, has that personal information for your client, the information you never ever want to get loose, that you have something in place to make sure that that information is secure. And that's going to hold true for your VPNs. The encrypted connection with the VPN helps you ensure that the sensitive data is safely transmitted. It prevents unauthorized people from eavesdropping and on the traffic, and allows you the user to control work remotely. So when we moved over to, the remote workforce, we needed to log into our VPN from home to be able to access our T drive or our S drive. Very important to have that in place. Keeps everything secure. And don't forget about the antivirus. We always need that antivirus to help, detect, to prevent, to remove that malware. You want to make sure that you're not exposing your employees to any viruses that could, take over their computer or possibly your business. Here are some examples of some antivirus programs you can look at if you don't have that already. And some additional solutions to consider, just a couple of touch points. There's Asana, there's Trello, there's Confirmed, there's the Cortina. So there are a number of those types of solutions that you can look into. And I'm going to turn this back over to Alyssa for the third polling question.
Thank you, Jamie. I'm going to launch the third polling question of the webinar. And it is, in your role, what would you recommend to improve your business? Tracking and managing projects, due dates, and deliverables, provide more clarity to expectations, more effectively assign work across staff, develop analytics that support resource utilization, or build more accountability to meet deadlines. And we'll give just about 15 more seconds. We definitely have a front runner for this polling question. We'll give it just about 5 more seconds. All right, I'm going to close and share the results. And Jamie, I'll turn it over to you for your thoughts.
Okay. I was hoping for that one, mainly because that's what XEM Solution does. XEM will track and manage your projects, your due dates, your deliverables, milestones, your statuses, your compliance-related sign-offs. There's analytics built into the program with Power BI. There is so much that can be done in the XEM application, and at a click of a button, you can have your information readily available for you, that this polling question could be omitted if everybody in the world used the XEM application. Jim's firm actually utilizes XEM, and he can give you a little more detail about that.
Absolutely, Jamie. So it was sort of a loaded question, guys, because every single answer on there relates to something that we're doing and that we have been doing in XEM. So I'll talk more about that as we got about 10 minutes left here, talking about the tech stack for distributed workforce. I'll talk to you specifically about our tech stack, right? So we've always utilized a best of breed philosophy when choosing a tech stack. That's why, to be honest with you, we chose XEM a long time ago, way before Wolters Kluwer. It showed up on the Wolters Kluwer radar. It was a technology developed by CPAs. They understood the void in the profession, right? We all have document management, content management applications, engagement management, practice management, tax. The void was workflow. And quite frankly, XEM was, in my opinion, the best workflow solution out there. I'm super happy that Wolters Kluwer saw that and said, you know what, we're not going to develop our own workflow solution. That is the best. We're going to bring it into the Wolters Kluwer shop. And that's exactly what happened. So we're super excited about that. We utilize, I mentioned, lots of best of breed technologies out there in the profession. From an audit perspective, we live, my staff, my auditors live, I say auditors, it's those doing preps, those doing comps, those doing reviews, those doing audits, those doing agreed upon procedures. They live today in CCH engagement every single day. We utilize Knowledge Coach, right? We used to use another audit methodology by another vendor out there in the space. We said, you know what? It's better if there's greater integration, and that is one of the pluses when you choose a company like Wolters Kluwer. It's that tight integration between all the separate components that keep a practice rolling. That's why we're super excited about now XEM, part of Wolters Kluwer family. I'm looking forward to more greater integration with all the other products as time goes on. So that's what I like about it. I like about the integration. You could literally run your entire practice from audit to tax to workflow to document to portal to delivery of returns to your clients, all through the one process. And again, we utilize so many tools. I know there are lots of tools out there in the profession, but again, choose the best stack. And that's what's really, really important today, is that you heard on some slides in the past us talk about, the next generation, the young staff, the staff accountants that are getting the jobs done. They want to make sure you're placing the best technologies in their hands. So, I mean, knowing about Wolters Kluwer, knowing all the investments they are making in those best of breed technologies as they continue to build out what they feel are the best of breed technologies for the audit space, for the tax space, for the workflow space, that's a huge positive. It's a huge reason why you actually want to go through the process. I'll share with you one story that we have. I mentioned we switched from another vendor's audit methodology to Knowledge Coach as our audit methodology. Well, I actually switched the firm over in a peer review year. My partners were all over me. How could you do this to us? How could you change our audit methodology in a peer review year? The most important, one of the 3 years that is the most important from an outside perspective. I'll tell you, it was the best decision we ever made. I remember sitting in on the exit conference for our peer reviewers. I asked the question, I said, did you guys notice anything different this year than you did 3 years ago when you came in as a result of our switch to Knowledge Coach? They said yes. What they noticed was more consistency throughout the entire with them practice in the deliverable, the process of getting through the entire audit. So we believe that we ended up with a higher quality audit as a result of that switch. Yes, I know we did it during a peer review year because I wanted to get it done. But quite frankly, once you rip that Band-Aid off and have that first year pain, there's no looking back. It's just, it was one of the best decisions we made as far as an audit methodology switch. I mentioned a lot about XCM. We've been on XCM for the longest time. Now, I will tell you my philosophy on XCM. We've been doing this way, way, way before the pandemic. We were moving work from staff to staff. We went from an office-centric firm many years ago to a niche-centric firm. So, which basically meant we took people, no matter where their location was, we put them together to work on jobs. XCM was that tool, was the glue that kept all of them together. We were easily able to collaborate using that tool. One of the tricks that we actually did, I shouldn't call it a trick, I wasn't attempting to trick my staff, but the XCM, their XCM page was their home page. So what we did when our staff logged into their laptops in the morning or whenever they turned their machines on, they defaulted to the XCM homepage, which basically in their face showed them, here's what you got going on, here's what's been moved to you, act on these things. They absolutely loved it. We don't do that today because it didn't take that long to get them to embrace this new workflow concept. I'll tell you, this product is loved from the entry level all the way up to my senior partners who never used to touch technology. Today, I spend so many days on the road. I'm starting to get back to that again, flying. I was flying internationally last week. I was able to keep up on top of all of my jobs, audit, tax, advisory, as a result of deep diving into XCM. XCM is really cool because, hey, you may not be totally thrilled with, let's say, some of the reports you get at XCM. You know what? You have the ability to dump data down to things like Power BI. So tracking metrics, tracking visualizations, that's what we do in our firm. Our staff are always interested in seeing new visualization, seeing new data. The next screen, we talk about APIs. We talk about how easy it is to connect into these APIs in order to do reporting, to do visualization, and to deliver to staff the information that they need. I touch a little bit upon our switch of vendors from our audit methodology. I told you we switched over to Knowledge Coach during a peer review year. Let me tell you, the thing I really like about Knowledge Coach, right? It's intuitive, it's integrated. So when you have one system, you have your CCH engagement system integrated into your research, your accounting research manager. You have Knowledge Coach audit methodology, which is really cool because there's a dynamic flow with error checking throughout the entire process. Think about this. How many of you simply automated a manual process with another vendor's audit methodology where most of the questions that you're answering on these questionnaires are NA, 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 NA? Today, that doesn't happen. Why? Knowledge Coach is smart because it intuitively bills out the audit questionnaires based upon the assets, liabilities in the financial statements. I think at the end of the day, I know at the end of the day, we're ending up with a higher quality audit as a result of the work that we had done. So, deep diving a little bit deeper on Knowledge Coach, we talk about it's a risk-based methodology. And quite frankly, that's all you need to know. It is a risk-based methodology. It's a totally paperless system. Knowledge Coach did not simply take a paper-based system and automate that system. It is literally end-to-end workflow, makes compliance super quick and easy, and it's able to straddle so many different verticals within your firm. So if you're drinking the juice today and you're migrating your firm to more of an advisory type practice, it can handle tax, it can handle audit, it can handle tax without an issue. So again, next slide, I already talked about what we had done on a peer review process, but I'll tell you at the end of the day, I believe the transition of our methodology from the prior vendor to Knowledge Coach, I believe that we are delivering a better quality deliverable to our clients. And at the end of the day, that's what we want. We want higher quality, we want error-free, we want a better deliverable to our clients today. Jamie?
Thank you. All right, just one quick touch base on the remote work roadmap and how to create your own roadmap. What you want to do is lean your current process, define the issues that you're having, and measure the impact and importance of adding new technology or replacing technology. Research your options, analyze and optimize the processes in your office, collaborate with your groups to ensure consistency is adhered to when a plan is executed, and train. Make sure you train. End user training is, the driver of the successful implementation of any new software that you do implement. And then I'll take it back over to you, Elisa.
Thank you. I'm going to launch our last polling question, and I know we're at the top of the hour, so I'll launch it right now. And it's, would you like to learn more about our workflow solution? While you're answering this question, we'd just like to thank everyone for joining, and I'll toss it back over to our presenters for any closing thoughts that you have while this polling question is going. Jamie and Jim, any closing thoughts?
So Jamie, you could go first if you like.
No, just good luck. Take all of the different solutions into consideration and try to figure out, you can take baby steps. Figure out where your pain points are first and take the technology stack and apply one product at a time if needed. If you want to take small, slow steps, eliminate the biggest risk for your firm and the biggest pain point. And then move on to the next one.
So Jamie, that was good. So here's what I'll add. Look, we learned a lot over the last 18 to 24 months, right? We learned that we can survive, we can thrive. So don't be quick to go back to the old way. Don't be quick to force the staff in the office. Don't be quick to give up on all those technologies that we learned so much about over the last year and a half during the pandemic. I encourage you to keep searching for the best of breed products. Keep looking at those vendors like Wolters, Kluwer that continue to invest heavily in AI, in big data, in machine learning, and all those technologies that will continue to drive technology enhancement. Why? Because your staff want it. You want to protect your staff. You want to retain your staff. Put in their hands the latest and greatest technologies to do the audit. To do the audit, which includes great workflow, and hands down, XCM, in my opinion, is the best workflow solution for our profession out there today.
Thank you both. Thank you, Jim and Jamie, for presenting today, and thank you everyone for joining us. This concludes our webinar. We hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. Goodbye.
Thank you.